Okay, let's go back to example 3 on page 3 of module 6, lesson 4. As we were saying earlier, turn the light on. Hope that's better for you guys. As we were saying earlier, when x is -4, y is 1. So remember, this is like what we did with the t-table. Whatever's in the parentheses is the x, and the answer is y. When x is -2, y is 2. And then I had you shut off the video so you could try the next 3. So let's go ahead and do those. So when x is 0, y is 3. 1, 2, 3. The numbers are hard to read, so we're going to have to count on this. I'm not sure what happened to the numbers. They kind of look wiggy over there. So when x is 0, y is 3. When x is 4, y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one looks like it might even be missing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I promise the graphs on the test are much better. So when x is 4, y is 5. And last, when x is 8, y is, and what is that number? So this was 5, 6, 7. Does that look like 7? Let's just count to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. It's 8, 10, 9, 8. Yes, 8 would be up here. So we're 1 below 8. Perfect. Okay, next. This is probably the 2 that trick students the most. Remember when I said, I think it was on the first page of this packet, that f of x is the same thing as y? So the first thing I would do is write y equals 4. So now they're making us go backwards. So when y is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, what is x? So let's draw over to the graph, draw that point. X is 2. And I want to tell you, these can all be checked. So if you have time on your test, you can certainly check them out to the side. Don't make this your answer, but out to the side. Write the point. This is your x. This is your y. This is your x. This is your y. I'll show you on a couple of them. I'm not going to show you on all of them. For this one, my x is 2. My y is 4. And if you've done it right, there should be a point where that is. Over -4, up 1, yep, there's a point right there. Over 0, up 3, yep, there's a point right there. X is 2, y is 4, x is 2, y is 4, boom, there's a point right there. So you can turn them all into ordered pairs. Don't put it for the answer, but out to the side, and then check and verify that that's a point. There's so many times students could have found their mistake if they would have done that to check it. Okay, so turn off the video and try G on your own before I do it for you. So G is just like the last one. F of x, we learned on page 1 of this packet, is the same thing as y. So when y is 2, so go to the y-axis, find 2, draw over to the graph. What's x? Negative. And if you wanted to check it, all you would have to do is say, is -2 to a point? X first, y second, -2, 2. Boom. And you also see it up here when x is -2, y is 2. But usually that's not going to be the case where you can look at another one. Okay, so this is what we just learned on the other page. Remember how I said I'm just going to keep practicing and practicing so you guys get really good at it? Domain. Left to right. Who remembers what we said the domain of every line is? Left forever, right forever. So the domain is -infinity to positive infinity. Remember how I had you write that in your notes? every line except horizontal and vertical lines have this for their domain and range. So I had you write that. I would highlight it too, just to draw your attention to it. So every line is going to have this domain and range unless it's vertical or horizontal. Time to get a new highlighter, huh? Okay, so left forever, right forever. Yep, that's our domain. And range, remember, is bottom to top. And this line goes down forever and up forever. So guess what? Negative infinity to positive infinity, just as our page 3 notes said. So that one was easy. X-Intercept. So you guys remember that from lesson 3 that we did on Monday. X-intercept is where does the graph cross the x-axis? That's what that's saying. So I go along the x-axis and I say, where does the graph cross it? Well, it crosses it right there. It looks like it's about in the middle of between -4 and -5. So should we write -4.5? And remember, on the x-intercept, y is always 0. So -4.5, 0. And intercepts are always points. We learned that in lesson 3. Always points, because they're the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. So we learned every time we see x-intercept, y equals 0, find your x value, and then make y 0. Likewise, the y-intercept says x is always 0, so we can go over here before we even look at the graph and get it ready. So when x is 0, what's y? 1, 2, 3. So that's where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's what y-intercept means. Where does the graph cross the y-axis? Okay, so if you really want to test your skill, and this is how you learn, is by trying some on your own, making mistakes, I would shut the video off again and see if you can do all of example 4 by yourself. It's exactly like what we just did, just a different picture on the graph. So try it on your own and then turn the video back on and I'll go over it with you. Okay, use the graph of the function to find the indicated value. This one is also asking us to write the ordered pairs out at the side. So I wish you were here to remind me and yell at me if I forget, but hopefully I won't forget. So when x is -7, so -7, and then, let's see, there's 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's at -7. Sorry about the bad copies. I don't know if the copy center did a bad job on these or what, but they didn't come out good. I hope they came out better when you guys printed them at home, hopefully. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is -7. When x is 0, y is 0. And let's draw that point in. And we're supposed to be writing order pairs, so let's write order pairs. And you only do that when it asks you. If it doesn't ask you, you can write them out to the side like we did here, but don't put them in the answer blank. This one didn't ask for order pairs, but this one did. So you have to read your directions carefully. So when x is -7, y is -7. When x is 0, y is 0. Okay, when x is 3, y is 3. When x is 4, y is, looks like 1. X is 4, y is 1. So our point would be 4, 1. And when x is 6, y is, open dot. Do you guys remember what that means? That means there's not really a point there. So guess what we have to write? Don't write -3. You would write -3 if that was a colored in point. It's not a colored in point, so guess what you write? Remember when we did this on the other page? None. That means there is no point at 6. It's an open circle saying, don't count me as a point. This line goes up to there, but stops before it hits 6. Same thing with 8. There's no graph at 8, so we'll write none for 8 as well. Okay, now here's the tricky ones, because they're asking us to find x this time. So I look here and go, oh yeah, right, that's y. So y is 1. So when y is 1, and I'm going to give you a little trick of the trade, especially on things that aren't lines, I go through and I make this line where y equals 1 is, just so I can see where it crosses the graph. So when y is 1, do you see that it crosses the graph twice? Guess what? That means I'm going to have 2 answers. So when y is 1, x is 1. And if you just write one of the answers, it will be counted wrong. If I was grading the test, if it was a paper pencil test, I would give you half credit. Maybe a computer test would too. I don't know if it was in 2 parts, but there's 2 places where that line y equals 1 crosses a graph, so you have to name both answers. So the other place it crosses is there, and that is 4. So x equals 1 and x equals 4 is where y equals 1 crosses. So when you have a V like that, I would definitely put that line in so you can see if it does cross it more than once. Like with a line, it's not going to cross it more than once. When you put a horizontal line in, it only crosses it once. But with a V or a parabola or a U shape, it's going to cross it more than once. So same thing here. This one is saying when y equals 3, what is x? So let's do the same thing. Y equals 3. Oops, I'm up a little bit high there, huh? Would be this line right here. Does it cross the graph once or twice? Only once, right? Crosses it right there. So we trace down, what is x? X is 3. So see the difference between 2 answers and 1? Here it crossed the graph twice. Here it crossed the graph once. Domain, left to right. So the leftmost x value, -7. And -7 is a solid point, so we'll write -7. The rightmost x value, keep rolling right, is 6. But remember, 6 is an open circle, so that should be a parenthesis. So -7, because remember, domain is left to right. -7 is the smallest x. +6 Not included is the largest X. And we'll pick up there next time.